Hello and welcome to the Squeaky Bum Time Podcast with Mike and Laurent. It is Tuesday, May 3rd, a couple days after the communist holiday of May Day. In this episode, football makes Everton fans feel so much. Leeds are in trouble, and relegation is getting weird, and it doesn't mean you play crap football. But first, Mike, do you want to talk top four or relegation in Italy?
In Italy, in England, it's all over. It's a relegation special. There's just so much more interesting stuff and content and storylines at the bottom of the table than at the top right now. And that's not even fair because in both England and Italy, we have rivalries at the top of the table. So it's been a long time. I'd have to really think about when the last time it was where we had races coming pretty much right to the end for both for all the title, top four, and relegation races. So there's well and truly at least two teams on either side of everything. I'd say relegation. There's three now. We'll get into that in a second. When you look at Italy, you've got the Milan pair, Inter and Milan. I think they're 2 points away from each other.
They are
with a big win for Milan recently.
Yeah.
And at the bottom of the table, we have my beloved Salernitana, and we'll get into that in a second.
Yeah, it's been a deep cut heads. We'll get to Salernitana at the end of the show.
Yeah. So let's go back to. But we did watch the full game today, and it was
it was good.
pretty entertaining. So I mean, the story of the weekend is nothing if it's not Everton 1, Chelsea 0.
Wow.
I think the real story here is that I've bet on Chelsea 3 times in a row. You're welcome, Everton.
Can I take a step back though and set the stage though? Because the first thing we have to do is I think we've got to do Burnley because the Everton game is in the context of Burnley. Right?
Yes.
So Burnley have the Watford game we've been talking about. They're in northwest outside London. That's where Vicarage Road is. And Burnley are doing their Burnley thing. They run the same group out there. They're doing the same thing. And we'll catch some scores in a minute, but this game was really important. And Burnley are down 1-0 on an own goal from Tarkowski. And if there's one thing we know about Watford, they're okay going forward. It's defending that is their problem. And they've got their goal, and they're doing their thing. And I'm trying to find the box score. Here we go. And Burnley do run out their same crew. It's Vidra, Vighorst, Aaron Lennon, McNeil, Cork, Brownhill, Collins. I mean, it's Tarkowski. I mean, anyone who watches Premier League football can literally write the lineup for Burnley because it's the same fucking 8 dudes over and over again. Now, Watford get a goal on an own goal from off Tarkowski. He knows nothing about it. It comes off the bar, off his knee, and in because he's faced the wrong way. And in the 8th minute, they're down a goal. Nothing happens for the first half. It's really, just fighting and back and forth. Second half is Burnley's time. They make a change. They take off Wout Weghorst, which is like, what the hell are they doing? And they bring on the legend that is Ashley Barnes, who's still fat, still bald, still looks like he tried to kill people. And I think he has. And within the context of him drawing free kicks and keeping Burnley up the field, they are attacking and creating. And the first goal comes from a corner, a headed goal from Jack Cork, which was actually really nice. By the way, his first goal in 3 years from Charlie Taylor. That just gives you a sense. And then the next goal is 3 minutes later from Brownhill. Why are these 2 goals important? Because they're by the 2 holding midfielders who never, ever, ever would be in the attack.
Yeah, I was saying, do you think they're on the other side of midfield if Dyche is coaching? Even down 1-0?
Exactly. And so with that in mind, they get the 2-1 victory. Cue scenes for Burnley.
One more. Go ahead. These goals were in the 83rd and 86th minute.
Yes.
Right? It was the biggest 1-2 sucker punch you've seen in quite some time.
Yeah.
Probably since the Bergwijn 2 against Leicester.
It was awesome.
Magic scenes. You feel for Watford, but they were going down anyway. So sorry.
Yeah. So for me, watching this game, I mean, if we haven't made it clear, I mean, I supported Dyche. I thought they'd stay up, but we were kind of done with claret and blue. We were just like, there's too many. There's one too many. We can't have Villa, West Ham, and Burnley. One of them has to go. But in the course of this game, through their fight, through their endeavor, through their Burnleyness, I found myself rooting for these goals, and I fucking cheered and I yelled and I was like, God damn it, football. You've done it again, you red bastard.
It does. And the thing that I've held, I've talked ad nauseum about this column in the table all season is now putting Leeds United in danger. Burnley,
they are in danger.
Are on 34 points. They're all the way up to 16th place because of their minus 15 goal difference, which, by the way, is almost better than anybody on that side of the table. Yeah, and it is the tiebreaker. So,
it is ahead of Southampton. It's only behind, shockingly, Brentford is the only one in the bottom half of the table because Newcastle are in 10th, but they have a bigger minus difference. Like we've been saying this. I mean, Burnley should not be down here. They're good.
So they're professional water treaders is how I would kind of say it, right? And so, okay, Burnley's on 34, Leeds on 34, Everton's on 29. By the way, Leeds got blown out by Manchester City. I was wrong to be concerned about that game.
They played well. They really did.
Yeah, and it was one of those that they played, like poured on late, fine. But not much to be said about this. 4-0 City, nothing really storyline driven aside from another -4 for Leeds. Bad. And now, okay, nobody's panicking because Everton are facing Chelsea, and Everton are 5 points adrift of Leeds. Now that game, right? That game effectively, we talked about it a lot, how both Burnley and Everton were going to play Watford, and they both absolutely had to have it. Yeah. And Burnley got it in dramatic fashion, but it doesn't matter. They got it.
They got what they were supposed to get.
Right. Yeah. And so I think Everton goes into this game, and Goodison Park does about as good a job winning a football match as I've seen this season. It was since Brentford on opening night against Arsenal.
Yeah. They went full Liverpool scouse scum.
Oh, they leaned
in a good way, in the best way.
Yeah, no, in the most effective way, right? Like it was just something where, and by the way, it is apparent to me that not only has all of the nonsense off the field affected Chelsea, they also don't have much to play for right now.
They're done.
They're pretty much solid. And by the way, after this weekend, they're only 3 points clear of Arsenal. But so they're not gonna get caught by Spurs. They're not gonna get caught by United. So worst case, they go to 4th instead of 3rd.
Yeah, and it doesn't mean anything anymore. There used to be a playoff, and now there isn't. Thank God.
Right.
That used to suck.
What do you mean, between 4 and 5?
No, meaning if you made 4th place, you had to go start.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, for the Champions
League playoff.
Yes.
Sucked.
Yes. No, I remember. I've seen those. Yes. And so Leeds are not panicking, but in the late game, Everton really, really takes it to Chelsea, and an inspired effort ends 1-0.
And still could have lost easily.
Oh, come on. Absolutely. And it's a game where the first half is actually quite reminiscent to their first half at Anfield last weekend.
Yeah,
where they're shithousing it up. It's basically
fighting.
Yes. And the thing I'll say is that they had a little more clinical ability in this game. With Liverpool, you never really thought they had it, like anything. Granted, Liverpool are better than Chelsea by some margin here, but it just felt like they were shithousing it to try and get a point, whereas this was like, we're gonna fucking kill you. It was a different feel.
The thing is that Everton created chances. You had Gordon early, Gray had a shot saved, Marcus Alonso, Gordon another one in the first half, Decore a couple of shot blocked. So they were creating little things. They had no possession. Again, Anthony Gordon has been their best player all season. The fans were shithousing. Famous now photo of the guy taking the ball, putting it under his shirt to try and keep it away from Chelsea. Yeah. Chelsea, I mean, I think the narrative that Chelsea were bad in this game or somehow lost it is a little unfair when you go into the second half after the Richarlison's goal, which is a fuck up by Dave. Cesar Azpilicueta stays on the ball too long. He looks a little past it. Maybe the moment got to him, and between Gray and Richarlison, they nick it off him, and he's in on goal. And it's a good finish by Richarlison. Flares on the field. Richarlison, not the brightest tool in the shed, grabs a flare and throws it back into the stands. FA is looking into that one. Amazing photograph.
Yeah, it really is.
So, I mean, we can't not deal with the passion. But then it's Pickford. Pickford has a double doink save. So it's Holgate. Mason Mount has been Chelsea's best player all season. He's what makes that team run. And sorry, Christian Pulisic, you're not. No. The narrative from the U.S. side about Pulisic is so weird. They like,
why doesn't he play?
They shoehorn him into these Chelsea games as though anyone gives a shit. Anyway, so he hits the post. It double doinks. It goes off one post across the goal into the other post. So Pickford is thrown himself across. He's basically on the left side of the post. Azpilicueta shoots. I don't know how Pickford does this, but he literally teleports to the other side of the post and stops it. Like, he's athletic. He was athletic. He got up and ran across.
That they do often, right? And it's
right, but he's small enough and quick enough, right? He's an athlete versus other keepers who are not.
Well, and that's always been the knock on him, that he's small, right? Yeah. You want to have wingspan, but it's like it's effectively to say, like, Mendy in all of his gumbiness doesn't necessarily get to this ball. So the ball clatters off the left post. He falls into the net. He gets up, and that's exactly it. His engine, it's more or less just like a shuttle run back and forth. And he just throws himself at the ball and catches a piece of it and makes a tremendous save.
And then it goes behind for Mina. Now, the thing that's really important and interesting about the save is that he's in the goal and his hand sticks out to stop it, right? It's not like he's on the line and pushes it away. He's effectively running diagonally backwards.
Which is what they teach you also. I mean, you try to get as deep as you can and buy yourself literally as much time as you can.
Yeah, a tenth of a second or whatever.
A tremendous save. I look at the stats and I go, he only had 5 saves. And it's one of those where, Chelsea had 5 shots on target. They didn't score, blah, blah, blah. Every single one of those 5 was a highlight reel save, including the one we just talked about. There was one, I'm forgetting who took it, but it literally ricochets at like Mach 1 speeds off of his face from point blank range.
Yeah, I think is it Rudiger? It might have been Rudiger.
Might have been
off. I mean, full throttle off his face. Yeah, it is not in the face, but in the face. And then it's onslaught time. Right,
you could tell he's a crazy person because he gets up and he's like, ha, 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 ha.
Yeah, like, it's amazing. It's amazing.
He's like rabid, and the crowd every time. I heard. I think it was Arlo White on the call. He said that Jordan Pickford has scored a hat trick for Everton today, effectively meaning he's saved 3 goals. Right. Yeah. And then the one against Jorginho in the 90th minute. Oh, by the way, 7 added minutes of extra time. They gave him 2 on top of that. Just genuine
excruciating
anguish for the Evertonians, and just the absolute most elating feeling of relief when that final whistle went.
Oh, they did it.
I've said this before on the show, but the thing that NBC and Rebecca Lowe in studio does so well is they let the stadium and the atmosphere and the moment breathe and really speak for itself. And I mean, just every close-up of every Everton fan, drunk, shit-faced, screaming, crying, happy. If they don't stay up, there's going to be a big punch bowl somewhere in Liverpool, and they're all going to take a swig.
Yeah,
but
I think this. I
was like, I can't let these people down.
This almost saves them. It is a saving performance. Like,
it is. This could be the moment. It'll be the one everybody talks about if they stay up. That's for sure.
Right. It is a highlight game that will become one of the highlights of the 21-22 season.
Yes.
For sure.
And the interesting thing, as we go back and we look at the math a little bit now, we said Burnley need to beat Watford because we think Everton are going to beat Watford, and they basically need to cancel each other out so that they're on the same length. Well, now, from where we thought they were, Everton are effectively 3 up on Burnley. I understand they're not currently, but relative to where we think, I mean, they're down 2. They should have been down 5, right? So if you win that that Watford game on next Wednesday, you're looking great. And by the way, and this is a good segue into Spurs. They play Leicester on Sunday. It's very
you know what? I think this Watford game is actually dangerous because it's away.
No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
You think that they have enough juice to pull themselves over the line? You'd expect it.
Yeah, no, I do.
I don't trust Everton at all.
Look, here's the thing. They're not going to beat Brentford. They're not going to beat Arsenal. They might, although that Arsenal game on the last day of the season, Arsenal fighting for top 4, Everton fighting for their lives.
Oh, God.
That might be the game I watch because they're all playing simultaneously, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's tough.
I look at Watford, I go, you have to – I'm sorry. If you want to stay in the Premier League, you fucking just have to go to the 19th place team and get 3 points. You just have to.
Yeah, and they haven't won away since
I understand,
August.
But these are the terms that we're
no, I understand. These are the terms of – you know, it's another good game here. Did Chelsea drop another one? They're going to fucking Ellen Road. Now, I think Leeds are actually in trouble. They've lost Dallas. They've lost their other central defender. They're not scoring goals. They never had Bamford. So they have a lot of the hallmarks of a team that goes down where they're thin. They don't have enough players to replace the guys that they have. So
holy shit, that's the same day, 15 minutes apart. That's wild. And then the next day we get Tottenham Arsenal. What a world. I'm going to have to take off all next week. Holy shit.
Yeah, I mean, football is not without things. Now, we've been talking about it, right? So Leeds lose the tiebreaker against all conference,
everybody,
right?
Yeah.
Everton have a game in hand. I don't know what that game is. It might have been Chelsea.
I thought it was the Chelsea game, but I guess
it may be whatever. But it's gonna take now, I think.
Palace.
It's now. Is it 38? Is the line?
Well,
we're all on 34.
We've said 35 is the line all season.
It's not 35. Somebody with 35 is going down.
No, I don't know.
Unless do you think none of these teams will win again?
The Everton win means 35 is no longer like breathe, right? The 38 is the okay, we're fine line. No, not 38.
Yeah, two wins from Everton puts them.
37
38
is probably
38 is the number.
We're just going to keep arguing about this every 2 weeks until we're at 40 and we're like, oh, it's like every other fucking year.
But it's not. 40 is a lot. 40 hasn't been the number for 15 years. It's just these teams just decided to the three of them just started going.
But let's think about this for a second, right? We unfortunately officially had to say goodbye to our friends from Norwich.
Yes, we do. They're gone, and Watford are too. They effectively have to win every game.
Well, right. No, Watford are not mathematically eliminated, but they will be very shortly. Mm-hmm. And whoever of Burnley, Leeds, and Everton go down, we will be sad to see them go because of the style of football that they have been playing recently. Even Everton playing defensive against some top teams. Yeah, I mean, you're going to get that, right? You're not going to get the Bielsa. You're not going to get the Daniel Farke Norwich where they're just like, fuck it. Go lose 5-0.
No, that those days of fuck it are gone.
Those days of fuck it are gone. But in its stead, we're going to have 20 teams in the league next season. We did not have that this season. We had a negative Newcastle for a long time. We had a negative Burnley until 2-3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
We are going to have top to bottom 20 teams
that want to play, or at least will get in your face,
that are going to be entertaining and that can punch Chelsea or Tottenham or Liverpool or Man City in the face and stand toe to toe with them and go, fuck you, not today, not in my house, every single weekend. It's going to be a minefield, even more than it already is for the top teams. I can't wait to see how many points Tottenham drop next year.
Here's the thing, right? I think it's now Leeds. They have Arsenal, Chelsea, Brighton, Brentford. That's it.
Yeah, they need that. That's what I'm saying. Like, I think 35 could be it. I think if it's 35, Leeds is gone, right? Like,
but that means only one more point between Burnley and. Oh, you think the team that goes down will be on 35?
Yeah.
Oh, I see. If you don't get over 35, you're going down.
Yeah. But like, I mean, to your point, right? Like Chelsea going to Ellen Road is going to be tough. You're absolutely right, but Arsenal's not going to lay over for them, especially with what they're fighting for right now. They're going to be licking their chops.
They're super injured. I think the thing with Leeds is they don't have defenders.
They don't have the depth.
It's Liam Cooper. Some stat is like this: in the 15 games he's played, they've only conceded 1.5 goals a game. In the other 20 games, it's 3. So the guy's effectively worth a goal per game in defense.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I'm just thinking about the math. Hang on.
Oh, boy. Here we go. Don't think about math. I was told there would be no math. Can I talk about the top of the league?
In a moment.
I thought Liverpool would win, and then I thought they wouldn't, and then they did.
Leeds United on the last day of the season is going to beat Brentford away, and that's going to give them 37. The question is, can Everton get to 37?
They need...
Or 36, really. Well, no, I'm sorry. Can they get to 37? Because that'll be the tiebreaker. So they need 5 points. Everton need 5 points from their final 5 games, which include Leicester City, a very beatable team, as we'll talk about in a little bit.
At this point, yes.
Watford is the 3 of the 5.
Yeah.
The very same Brentford side, Crystal Palace and Arsenal. If you can, I'm going to say 37 is the line because I don't see more than 3 points in Leeds' future. And it breaks my heart because there was such a great story with Jesse.
And Marsh. You want Marsh to stay.
You know, and listen, look at the results. Look at the results since he's gotten here. Unbelievable.
Good results.
So,
this is the thing. Like a good team is going. This is what was so cruel about the
league.
It is
now. It's cruel. It never really felt that cruel until this year.
Yeah. Normally it's just like okay,
maybe
bye.
They can draw Brighton at home. I could see that. I could see them giving Brighton shit.
Brighton are playing really well right now.
Yeah, well, they are.
And they got it.
By the way, wait, real quick. They weren't. They're very up and down in form, right?
Yes.
They played,
but they weren't losing. They were just drawing.
Okay, but that's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
right. Draws, because then you need 6.
For Everton, draws are awesome. They'll take draws.
So I don't see anything coming from Arsenal. And by the way, it doesn't matter if they lose 1-0 or 10-0. They still have the worst goal difference.
Yeah, that's all Bielsa. That's all Bielsa.
I want to believe after last weekend, but I still feel like by then, the Chelsea ownership kerfuffle and whatever probably will be evened out by then. I think it'll be like, all right, get your head screwed on.
The nerd math has Leeds by far the worst of the 3. Their XG per 90 is minus 0.58.
But that's not necessarily fair or representative of who they are right now. Because Jesse Marsh has been
understood. But over the season, theirs has been the worst. And Everton obviously has been the best.
What's the biggest game on Chelsea's schedule the rest of the season?
The biggest game on Chelsea's schedule is the FA Cup final.
Correct. That is being played on May 14th.
Yeah.
They would have to go to Leeds on May 11th.
They're going to rest everybody.
Do they prioritize?
Yeah,
they're
not
going to lay over for Leeds.
Away, I would. I wouldn't even go.
I wouldn't bring anybody up. You know who they play? Christian Pulisic. Okay.
Lukaku's at Leeds.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So
the thing is, he might score. He might be good.
So hold on. Now I've talked myself back into Leeds. No, because I'm looking at the schedule. I'm going, okay, that's a game where you can get a result. I don't know if you can get a win. You can get a draw there. You can get a draw against Brighton at home. And then you have to go beat Brentford on the last game of the season. Holy shit. There are some really good matchups this year.
Now I do have to give, before we talk Liverpool and City, who are just machines of destruction. And they're like, I don't know what movie, they're just destroyers of all things in their path. They're road grades of death. I do want to discuss our friends Fulham. We know they were promoted, but they went up in style, scoring 7 against Luton Town and then setting fire to their stadium, which was amazing. Always love that. Luton Town were in the playoff spots and like, oh, we need this game, and did not show up. So historically, this Fulham team, just to put it into context, is one of the greatest teams in the championship ever. So this money trickling down from the Premier League does go down into the championship, where the teams that go down are way better than the teams that are in the league with them. So we have Fulham setting a record for goals by an individual player. Mitrovic scored 2 more. He's on 46.
Wow.
Which just is like a crazy number. It's like only Ronaldo and Messi score 40. That's like a bizarro number. I'm like, wow. Alexander Mitrovic scored 40 goals. The guy who played it. Anyway, he set the record set in like, I don't know, I want to say, well, since the Premier League in the last 35 years is the record for goals, because there's no history before the Premier League. So they're there. Harry Wilson, they set the record for points, goals, whatever. They scored 7 3 different times. Okay, what I want to bring up is, if you want to watch a game and you don't feel like watching Villarreal Liverpool, watch Nottingham Forest versus Bournemouth. This is a game for the playoffs. Nottingham Forest, 2-time European champions, going to try and steal Bournemouth's spot. Bournemouth has been in that automatic place all season. This is a collapse for Bournemouth and Scott Parker's sweaters. Big game on Tuesday at noon. Be there, be square. In the Vitality, Forest invades, and they bring a tree with them.
So I thought about your sons.
My sons.
I just thought about you and the championship and how we talk about it on the show so much. And I guarantee you that it doesn't get the traction or interest from our listeners, and I hear you, that it deserves. And here's why. When you look at Jared Bowen, when you look at all of these players who have come, and Ivan Toney, everything about
whole teams come up, right?
So this is not, let me be clear, this is not meant to sound like, oh, Laurent's a big fucking hipster and he knew first and he knew before it was cool.
No, I'm an Anglophile. I've loved English football. I don't care.
I give you that. It's genuinely, I think it's one of the things that our show does that few others do, where we and by we I mean Laurent, have the depth to say, like, don't go watch the entire championship, right? Like, that's not what we're telling you.
Big game.
We're like, hey, okay, now's basically we'll tell you when to pay attention to the championship, right? Like, you can trust us in that regard.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're Premier League centric and you want to know who's coming, where they're coming from, the guy from Fulham I talked about a month ago is Carvalho. Literally, Mitrovic in the interview after Fulham win the league are like, look and follow Fabio Carvalho. He's going to Liverpool. He's 17 years old. He drove our team. This is the guy who scored 46 goals, is saying, watch this 17-year-old. He's that important. So keep an eye on him.
So don't follow us for betting advice. Don't follow us for the math on what a number of points it's going to take.
Please don't.
To stay in the Premier League. But we're pretty good with our championship shit. And that's mostly me riding Laurent's coattails right there. But I want to point that out because I was watching Bowen play against Arsenal, and we can dovetail into the top 4 conversation now. More or less by him fucking self on Sunday.
Yeah, because Antonio wasn't on, right?
Antonio wasn't on. Souček wasn't on. Rice was basically had his hands full with the entire Arsenal attack. So it was basically Bowen against the entire Xhaka and the entire back line for Arsenal. and he was performing quite well, right?
He scored a nice goal on a deflection, but still
he did score. It was a very nice goal. But so that was what I was kind of thinking as I watched Bowen try and get me kind of a couple of points for Spurs. But it was a heck of a game, and I think that the way that Arsenal lined up, I was so confident that Nketiah he was going to take like 7,000 shots.
He was good.
He was very good, but he's hungry. He's the type of striker that Arsenal have been looking for. They put Lacazette in that spot so much, and he's been there the whole time, and he fits and gels with the rest of that group, with Martinelli, who I know came on as a sub, with Saka, with Emile Smith-Rowe, who also did. But I think that there was just so much that they were able to positively affect against a half-baked West Ham side. I don't remember how many changes they made. I'd have to look it up, but it was a hell of a lot. They did the best they could, West Ham, but it just was never going to come off. It was a 2-1 game. that I think probably flattered them. Even though they had the majority of possession, there was just really not much there for the Hammers. They've got their eyes on Thursday's matchup against Frankfurt. They have to go to Germany down 1-0. And I'm worried about the fact that I don't think Tottenham can catch Arsenal even with a win in the North London derby. They're playing a cohesive game. I think Laurent has brought up before that they're reminiscent of like early Pochettino, maybe not the last season at White Hart Lane, but the season before that, where you could sort of really start to see everything come together. So what I was just saying was I think that, Arsenal, even with a loss in the North London derby, could be in good shape. I mean, Spurs go to Anfield this weekend. That's a death march. Usually a dramatic, fun game, but very rarely works out for Spurs.
Will you, for the love of God, if there are, I pray to the old gods and the new for Newcastle.
I'll do my
something
best.
Off Liverpool, and I thought St. Maximin would come. He didn't do anything. They did play well. They did hold Liverpool to a goal. They got battered basically.
Yeah,
but Sir Harry of Kane, please rise, and may the Emperor.
Would you stop with this false idol shit? It didn't work last week.
And will the Emperor of South Korea take over for Sung Jong-un and let 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 Sonny become a unified peninsula and take back what is rightfully no longer North Korea and unify the Koreans in destroying
Liverpool? If there's anyone that could.
Because he's so fucking good. I love him. So, I love me some Son. And
except for when he's playing your guys.
And if City, I would love it if City bought Son just so he wouldn't play against us.
The old Yankee thing. The old Yankee thing. This is worth 2 games in the standings just because he's not playing against us.
Oh, I mean, or what Newcastle did just this season. They just were like, we'll take Chris Wood.
Right.
Okay, thanks. We'll fuck up your team.
See you later.
And then they just like, bye.
It just I aside from Bowen, there was really nothing in it for West Ham. They brought on Antonio. They brought on Suchek.
They didn't do much. They're kind of out of gas.
They are. No. Well, I don't know that they're out of gas so much as it's just they've got an eye on the bigger prize.
They're down 2-1 going to Eintracht.
Right, 2-1.
Eintracht are 9th. Like, they are better. They should be better. But I think that there's just not enough juice in the tank for that team to try and pull that European night out. So you covered North London derby. I shit on Liverpool. My team played Leeds. We talked about it briefly. A very, not easy win, but one where City's class just came through. We paid the checking line. No De Bruyne.
Right.
No De Bruyne. No problem. Walker's still out. So it's still moving along, and City are getting over the line. You could easily see it them be winning out over and over, and City just winning by that 1 point. There is a sense that people don't like that narrative. They don't like that story. I don't care about your fucking stories, because City deserve to win these championships, and the quadruple can go fucking eat an egg, because City's going to beat Newcastle, Wolves, West Ham, and Aston Villa, and that's going to be the fucking league right there. Mm-hmm. On Wednesday, we've got Real Madrid away. That is very much a not in the face game. If City win that, I think they win all the games. If they lose, they lose the league, because I don't think they'll be able to pick themselves off the mat after losing that. They'll be so disappointed to lose that game.
So I hate to say it to you, pal, but that false idol shit's about to come home to roost, because you've got Alan St. Maximin.
Yes.
He's coming into your house on Sunday after the Real Madrid game. I'm telling you, think about this for a second. You're going to lose.
I don't want to deal with St. Maximin. I'm not ready. You're
going to lose on penalties, and then you're going to lose to St. Maximin, and that's going to be the show.
Not
guys.
at home. Not at home. Not at home.
It's going to be the last edition
not at
of
home.
Squeaky Bum Time.
We're not losing to Newcastle at home. Away, sure. At home, away. City don't lose at home.
All right.
They don't. Listen, we can lose to any fucking team. It's just
looking at the final pieces of their schedule here. Wolves midweek in the evening, miserably tough game. Luckily, it won't be cold, so it's gonna be like hopefully nice weather and it's not raining. So that shouldn't be too bad. West Ham away, never an easy game.
For City, it is. We kick
probably out of gas, but they usually do beat the shit out of them, so that's fair. And then Aston Villa on the last day is a nothing burger, I think.
Well, I mean, it's Gerrard. I don't know. I just feel like any game can be any game. I don't know. I mean, City go into every game.
You literally just sat there and proclaimed we're going to win all of the games. And that
I know. I can't. I'm trying to find reasons for failure. I just want Liverpool to lose. I just want it to be easy.
Hey, me too, pal.
It's on you. It's in your hands. Come on, you Spurs.
I'm going to do my very best. I promise.
A draw would be a dream.
A draw would be great. I'm trying to think about what would that mean for the table, because Arsenal's going to win this weekend.
City would be up a goal.
Arsenal have to lose a game.
Up a full game.
If we draw, which would be a great result for Arsenal and City fans alike. Arsenal are up 4, assuming they take care of business against Leeds, which they will. Then they've got Newcastle and Everton. And they have to lose one, right? They would have to, because if they'd have to draw one of those 2 games.
Arsenal can lose any game, anytime.
I know, but there's so few left.
I know.
So if they're not going to lose to Leeds, but what I'm saying is, and this is the path forward for Arsenal, if Spurs don't win, if they get a draw or a loss at Anfield, which high is extremely likely, then the gap is 4. If Tottenham beat Arsenal, which I also think is likely, then the gap is 1. Okay. And the 1 is important because a tiebreaker goes to Spurs. And then they effectively have to draw Newcastle or Everton at that point because Spurs don't have any other games left. So
yeah, I mean, we're just all just like grabbing at straws, trying to speculate. I think that the key thing is it's all context at this point. It's all, hey, this Everton team is shit, except it's now literally shot out of a cannon to try and save its life. And
so is Burnley, though.
Right. But you know what I mean? Like, it's context of when you play teams and where they are and do they have fight and do they have a good coach that has something to play for? Like, we would never, where City and Liverpool are a different class. They're just playing some other sport that's not for normal humans. Right?
No, I mean, it is not.
They're just somewhere else. Like, my team is literally robotic distress machine, and Liverpool are just like, oh, we just need to turn it on now. Oh, we're at home. Oh, we don't even need to show up. Now they just rotate. This is their first game they played without Salah, which was just like unheard of, that you thought they could win anything. I think that AFCON thing really showed the depth of the team. I think they realized that they were relying on him. I think, Salah just won Player of the Year. Which I think what that taught them was like,
they got to look into the future was what happened, right? And they said, let's go buy Luis Diaz. We already got Jota. We've basically replaced 2 of the 3. Not like for like, not to say that they're as good as Mane and Salah, but like.
And they just got the biggest contract of the year.
Yeah.
They just re-signed Klopp.
Yep.
Till 2026, which is that'll make a clean 10 years with Pool. And despite what people say, they have 2 major trophies. Okay? 5 years, 2 major trophies. Okay? They can fucking take it easy with they're the greatest Premier League team of all time. I don't care if they win the fucking quadruple. Fuckers. Centurions.
That would do it. That would
be big.
That would do it. That would be bigger than 99 in United.
We need to go.
I felt
that was offensive and pretty good.
It's not offensive. You can't offend Italians. They'll just flip sides in a war. I got to watch most of Salernitana taking on big-time Atalanta today. Now, by the way, they've beaten Fiorentina recently. They're on a streak of 3 straight wins going into this game.
Why do we have to care about this team, Mike?
Why do I? Because they're my people. That's where I'm from Salerno, Italy. And they are trying to do a Leicester. They are trying to pull themselves from last to just barely not dead, and then they're going to win the league next year.
Yes, of course.
But the worst goal difference, all that, 3 straight wins on the bounce. They have life. They're doing the Undertaker gift, the whole thing, and they are in lockstep with Cagliari. They're actually 2 points behind them right now, but they play them at home on Sunday. So very, very exciting times. They have a game in hand still on them. The game against Atalanta today, they got an early goal. And then it was literally batten down the hatches, hang on for dear life.
They could have won the game 7 times, by the way.
I know. It was working though. They had their chances to salt it away. They didn't, and obviously, as we know, that often comes home to roost. And it did in the 88th minute on a brilliant pass. I have to look up who it was, but my goodness, it comes almost out of nothing.
Almost out of nothing, yeah.
And these, that's right. There's no context for the Italian games. It's just like, this happened. But Mario Pasalic scores from Malinowski, who makes the pass basically from the dead of midfield, and really finds Pasalic making a run. I think it was, Atalanta's really only real chance in the game. And despite the fact that, for the first half, Salernitana was right in the game. They had as many shots. They had as much possession. And they were up 1-0 after the break. They're like, all right, let's try and protect this lead and get the fuck out of here. And it just, unfortunately, was the only time they really got a good look at goal. They were able to put it away. But I said before the game, as it was kicking off, I said to you and Chari, give me a point. I'll be happy as a pig and shit with that. And I mean, of course, it feels like 2 points dropped, especially for a team fighting for their lives. But this is a point you've taken on the road against a former Champions League level team. So you've got to be happy with it. You can't be thrilled because of the way that it ended, but you certainly would have taken that. They're at home for the next two.
The guy who stood out to me on your team, and it stood out immediately, and you could tell, was Simeone Verdi, Simon Green, my guy.
Yes.
I immediately go to Stats Bomb, immediately look it up, immediately look at when your form turned around, and it immediately coincided with when Verdi came back in.
Yes.
He had missed most of the season, and he comes in, and he's averaging about a half a goal and an assist expected per game, which is top on the club. His career has been in that space. So he's your creative force, or at least some sort of midfielder who can at least create things for you. And you've got your big striker up front, your captain, Mr. Dusic, really good, really huge. I thought when he came off, things got a little bit shaky. You lost a little bit of that outlet. But Salernitana were creating a lot. Like, put 8 shots on goal, easily could have been ahead, and it really would have been huge. And I think at halftime, Gasparini saw that, and he just took everyone off. So he made 4 changes from the 46th minute to the 54th. It was like, okay, Salernitana, we're going to get you. And then the goal comes after all the changes that Salernitana make. So I don't know. Italian football, I hadn't watched it in a long time. I just was struck by this sort of like lack of physicality. It seemed that teams just let guys dribble into the box and then they defend when they're in the box. Whereas in the Premier League, you sigh the guy down before there was so much defending in the box, which was so fucking weird. I was like, why are these guys here?
This is different than the top guys, right? Like the top Serie A teams going from Milan to Fiorentina or Atalanta. If any of those 8 or so teams are playing against each other, it's a far more entertaining game than, say, what we kind of saw today, which was one of the relegation, battlers against Atalanta.
It just wasn't as physical. That was the thing that I noticed. It was just like, it seemed that guys would start defending when someone was in the box. Yeah. Whereas in the Premier League, you keep everyone out of the box. You're just like, and it felt like it seemed so unusual because I was like, well, someone's going to draw a penalty.
I was having fun with it. Mostly because after Bonazzoli came on, Federico Bonazzoli, and I was saying that over and over with my fingers, and it was effectively like I was one of Brad Pitt's henchmen in Inglourious Bastards. Bonazzoli, and I just was like, I'm gonna get found out by the Germans like any second now. I was gutted to have them lose. Yeah, right. Yeah. Three glasses of scotch. I was gutted to have that, but again, Thursday they're at home against Venezia, who very similarly to the Premier League setup with Burnley and Everton, both teams in the race, Cagliari and Salernitana, play Venezia, who's the last place team. That's 3 points you frankly have to have. But so going into that, this is their game in hand as well. So going into this big matchup on Saturday or Sunday, I can't remember, they could be out of the relegation zone. It's very possible if they beat them that they'll be up to 17th. So
the fun thing about Venezia, they're in Venice. They have a very weird stadium that you have to take a boat to because it's Venice. U.S. men's national team, Gianluca Buzio features on the team. And when I say this, Venezia have by far the best looking kits I have ever seen on any team in the history of anything. They have a griffin and a lion on their badge. This is like class. They might be the worst team in the top 5 leagues, but let me tell you, this is class. Just watch it for the shirts. But yeah, so Salernitana. Yeah, it's really nice. Yeah.
Oh, these are fine.
Yeah.
I bet they have a fucking online store where I could buy one. Salernitana, you pieces of shit. Figure it out. Get an intern for fuck's sake.
All right. We've done way too much time on Italy. Watch the championship. Watch City. Liverpool. We pray to the gods of Unai Emery. Good evening, please.
Good evening.
Just bloody Liverpool at this point. Make them hurt. Kick someone. Punch anyone. Someone do something that slows down Liverpool, who have the most fucking CONCACAF path to the Champions League final I've ever seen in my life. And then they're going to beat us in the final. I'm going to be really mad after giving blood against Atleti and having to conquer all of Madrid. That's hard.
I know.
All right, I'm going. That was the Squeaky Bum Time Podcast with Mike Salerno and Laurent Cortines. We are the football wing of the Chop Sports Network and fans of Fan Hub and friends of them. We record on Tuesdays and Fridays, so be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss an episode. And if you're listening on Apple, please rate and review the show and buy shirts from Fan Hub or something. We don't have any merch. We're merch.